JJ the CPA, hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. As we're going into the week now, here's kind of where we're at right now. So a lot of us are expecting maybe this round 2 of PPP, the 250 billion. The one thing I want you to consider though is that it may not just be the same PPP. It may be that there's new or different provisions. I've got some other videos that are gonna maybe expand on how you might be able to take some action and making a request to your congressman, congresswoman, senator on maybe a focal message, which the focal message would just be, if there's round 2, that it be through the small banks, the community banks, the credit unions, and to the small employers and sole proprietors. We want to use the word sole proprietor as well, and that would be 100 or less employees. Now, I know we also hear single member LLC. Single member LLC is a Schedule C and it's a sole proprietor. So the two terms we're looking for is sole proprietor and self-employed, okay, to talk about the Schedule C. And then small employer, 100 or less employees, which is consistent with other things that the IRS has put out related to the ERC, which, speaking of, on the employee retention credit, that's a Form 7200. I've got videos related to that, links into here. If you didn't get your PPP money, you want to go ahead and get this employee retention credit. Now, I know that if you get a PPP, that there's going to be a recapture of the employee retention credit. But here's what I want you to think through is that if you didn't get the PPP, assess your circumstances of why you didn't get it, okay? So if they put out the other 250 billion, will you still get it? You know, where are you in the line? What if they put different provisions on it? So if you're gonna wait to put in the ERC, the employee retention credit, to see about the PPP, could be a wise decision, but don't wait long, because at the same time, I don't know that there's an infinite amount of money for the employee retention credit. And what you want to avoid is the same thing that kind of happened with the PPP and then the EIDL. And it's like, well, I'm hoping that maybe I can get this PPP over here, and it never materializes, or it materializes different, or they do it, but you don't get it. And then you paused and you waited, and then we're 2 or 3 weeks down. You're like, well, I guess I better do the ERC, and the ERC is run dry. I don't know that it would run dry, okay? I'm just saying, make a decision with your advisors, but it's Monday. I don't know that I'd be waiting much more through the end of this week, because the employee retention credit puts money in your pocket now. It's a Form 7200. It's 50%. If you're 100 or less employees, 50% of what you paid your employees, regardless if they were gone, work, doesn't matter. Whatever you paid them 13th through the 31st of April, you're gonna get a 50% credit. And then April 1st and after, you got all these other credits you can take, as well as additional employee retention credit. And everybody's applying for it where their government has said you can't be open, okay? There is a qualification with ERC that you have to have your, gross down, but that's an either or. If you're under COVID-19 restrictions, you qualify. If those have been lifted, then you can look at if your gross receipts are down more than 50%, then you could do it that way. But right now, everybody's qualifying. So if you didn't get the PPP, you need to take a look at that. EIDL is gone. I'm still getting emails and messages, should I apply for the EIDL? It's run out. The SBA has given no indication that any more will be replenished. I don't know that in round 2 there will be anything. If you didn't get the money, maybe you're going to get it, maybe you don't. I've actually had someone as early as Sunday, or as late as Sunday, saying, hey, we got our EIDL confirmation email and we've got some money coming. So hopefully the EIDL doesn't affect your employee retention credit. And then if you get the EIDL and you got PPP, right? Because maybe you didn't think the PPP was going to go through, or you went for the EIDL and you're like, gosh, I haven't heard anything. I guess I'll go with the PPP. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, now I got both. Been hearing that a lot. So keep those funds distinctly separated. Find your own way to do that. Check with your bank on how they would like to see that you for sure spent those on different purposes. So if you've got the EIDL money, don't spend it on anything that you're spending PPP money on or those kind of expenses. And then get with your bank to determine what it is that you need to do to show them at the end of the process that that EIDL was spent different from the PPP. And I've got a lot of videos on that. And then if you did get your money funded for the PPP, awesome. And glad that you did. What you want to do now is follow up with your bank if they haven't already, and ask this. So if you're an employer, right? So you pay W-2 wages to employees, whether it includes yourself or not, then there's one set of rules related to the forgiveness, and I got a video on that talks about the employers. And then there's another set of rules that if you're self-employed, then here's how you go about, the documentation and what's included. Now you can use as a start my website, jjcpahelp.com, and I've got a forgiveness page that kind of gives you some worksheets. But you really need to take action now, if you haven't already got it from your bank, to say, hey, I need the worksheet to be working on. I need the worksheet to be aware of. I need to know what it is that you need from me. They need to be specific. And they say, well, it's what's in the law. Say, great, give me that list. So a lot of banks are setting up separate accounts for that. Probably smart. The money comes in, so they're setting up another account. So you're pulling money out for payroll. Lots of questions of, well, hey JJ, I got my PPP money, and then 3 days later I got a payroll coming. Can I just use PPP money for those? And there's a lot of ways to think that through and answer, but I think you just better check with your bank on that. I mean, my personal opinion is it's more about making payroll. It's for payroll. It's for regular payroll. You're only going to be able to count 8 weeks, period. You're not going to be able to somehow bunch up some payroll into this period of time. It's only going to be based on what was 8 weeks. If you look at 1106E, you've got to provide detailed payroll records. Point is that now it's time to giddy up and get with the bank. Zero hesitation. You got 56 days. That is not a long time. Okay, it's 8 weeks. It's not 2 months. It's 8 weeks. Okay, that's 56 days, and the clock starts ticking when you get the funds. You can't wait till the end to figure out what the bank wants from you, what their expectations are, and the formula is not a secret, so to speak, but the bank's going to have a worksheet to give you, or an Excel spreadsheet, or something that you're going to have to complete, and then all the documentation, so that you're just gathering it as you go. In 1106E on the forgiveness, it talks about check copies and the statements and detailed payroll records by employee and pay rates, and there's a whole bunch of listed dates that you need this for. It's not just during the 8 weeks. So get a handle on that ASAP this week. Unfortunately, I know that as late as yesterday, there were individuals getting emails that thought maybe they were getting the PPP money because they had an SBA number and then they didn't get funded. So go back to what I originally was saying at the beginning, which is maybe you're going to wait to see what happens with PPP2. You start looking at the employee retention credit. Now, of course, the employee retention credit doesn't help those that are sole proprietors, single member LLCs. If there's not W-2 wages, that's not going to help you there. And, when you're gathering up the documents for the bank, you're going to need head count and payroll for February 15th, 19 through June 30, 19, January 1, 2020 to 2/29/2020. You're going to need it on February 15th, 2020. You're going to need it from February 15th through March 27th, 2020. And you're going to need it for the 8 weeks. What you're going to need is payroll by payroll, the documentation to show what you paid each employee, what the salaries were for each employee, and what the head count was each payroll period, okay? Then with the CARES Act, if you're wanting to really get down to it, and you're like, on my website, jjcpahelp.com, I've got a copy of the CARES Act. It's a little cartoon picture of JJ the CPA, but you'll focus in on sections 1102 and 1106. They're right at the beginning. And you may have to read through it a few times, but if you want to start digesting it as well, but also get from your bank. Also on that page, the forgiveness page, you should be reading SBA. They put out some guidelines and FAQs on April 3rd, April 6th, April 14th, they're all on there. They're easy to read. And then, we just want to call to action this week with our congressmen, congresswomen, senators. So I'm going to have some info coming out on that. Maybe just here's what I would say, here's how I would go about it. Here's some ideas. And I think tweets will be a great way to go. It seems like where the news is and where a lot of the congressional and senators, their staff and their offices are paying attention to. So it's a great way to do that. And then what we'll be looking at as well this week is on my website. I had a video about it yesterday, but looking at what's your cash position. So whether you got the PPP money or EIDL or both, or maybe you're getting ready to get some ERC money showing up, or maybe unfortunately haven't had any of that yet. You want to know what your cash position is going to be in 3 weeks. Okay, so go to my website, and on the page guide, the menu to say guide, but it's jjcpahelp.com/survival guide. But I wrote something up actually about 5 weeks ago, and just a little encouraging word. But then also there's a worksheet in there, so that you get it for free. You're not putting in an email address and then you get a free gift, and there's no funnel here. But anyways, there's a worksheet in there for you that just talks through how to figure out your cash position 3 weeks from now. Why do that? So that you can better make decisions today and this week and next week and the following week. Have an idea where you're going to be 3 weeks from now. At this point, it might be opening up in 3 weeks. So what's my cash position when that happens? Okay. And if you got PPP money, then you're going to take what I got as a worksheet, and then you're going to add a line item for PPP money. You're going to need to start working on your documentation as well as your, quote unquote, kind of budgeting. Like, okay, well, I have this money. What are the what is rent and utilities and all this stuff, right? So get with your bank and all that stuff. So it's a good fresh week that we're in now, right? And we know what cards we've been dealt, meaning, did you get the PPP money or not? The cards have been dealt. EIDL cards have been dealt, right? Now am I doing ERC? Okay. Am I waiting on PPP2? Maybe a little bit, but maybe start getting that info ready for the 7200 because you just fax it into the IRS. It's a great way to get ready to make some decisions. And then getting ready for a cash position. And, if there's a big light coming at you and it's an absolute freight train, it's not the end of the tunnel, know it now. Just let's know it this week. Let's just figure that out. So, all right, hey, I'll be going live every day this week, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, answering questions. Emails and on the live. I won't answer questions related to the forgiveness of PPP, because really at this point, you just need to check with your bank. There's going to be so many details and interpretations. It'd just be better for you to check with your bank. So it won't be that I don't want to be helpful. It'll be me just to encourage by not giving you my opinion. It'll be my encouragement that you need to go talk to your bank. And then as it relates to unemployment, I'll have some general statements on that, which is just this. If you're getting PPP money, in essence, you've been given that, and therefore you wouldn't be going to get unemployment. So you'll just have to make your decisions on how you would go about that if you decide that PPP is not enough, let's say as a sole proprietor, and you'll just have to check with your state. Every state's gonna be different on their state requirements. The federal should be the same, but some states don't even have it. So that's the status of unemployment this week, which is very frustrating, is that not all states have it. On the stimulus checks, think there'll be another round coming out, but you definitely want to get to the irs.gov. Get my payment is where you'd want to go. If you haven't filed 19 and your information on 18 is old, address or the account number on file for a direct deposit, or if they don't have your account number, do not count on them having your account number because you've made payments to them, okay? If they've sent you money and they have your account number, then you're good to go. I did an interview for the San Francisco News, which is pretty cool. But part of it was, making a determination of, are you going to get your money? What happens if you don't? What are you going to do? Well, what you can do right now, Treasury Secretary tweeted about it, which is get on that portal, irs.gov, go to get my payment, and don't get caught up on It didn't tell me if I was eligible or not, because everybody seems to be getting that message. That's not really the point of why you're going on Get My Payment. You're going on there to update any information that you have. All right, so that's where we are, ready for a great week here on the week of April 20th. I tell you what, this is usually like I'm playing golf all week, right? Because tax season ended last week, but there was no tax season. There was no April 15th. Now it's July 15th. And by the way, so second quarter estimates due for 2020, those have even been pushed to July 15th as well. So, all right, hey, let's have a great week. Maybe I'll see you live at 4. I really appreciate you tuning in. And I'd love it if you'd subscribe. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, have a great day.